Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this month's SIG Talk on IT operations. And we've got two presentations today for you. Some interesting things going on. One is in SACM, and the other is on OpsBridge. Again, welcome to Vivit SIG Talks. This is a monthly presentation that we do by our partners and end user members of the Vivit community to talk about their experience with the tools, how they're using the tools, any insight that they can help guide you and guide your career in the direction of moving forward. So we're kind of excited to have these topics today. They're not your typical topics from what I can tell. So this is I'm always excited to hear about new things and promote the use of these tools. So my name is Rocky Pisto. I'm the Vivit Engage Coordinator, longtime volunteer for Vivit. So I'm your moderator today. Our two speakers today will be Bill Curran from Intact, and he's been an executive at a large Fortune 5 or 1,000 bank in charge of IT service management and operational monitoring. So he's got a lot of experience in IT service management. So he's going to be talking about his area of about a customer, Citizens Bank, and some of the challenges they had and how they were successful in implementing service, asset, and configuration management with that new acronym I just mentioned. So we'll learn about some stuff there. Kovander Singh will actually start today's session, and he's with Accenture. He's the Alliance Practice Director in the ITOM space, focused on technology, ecosystems, and ventures, things like that. But his presentation's around the MSP model and how IT operations is a big part of that. So some interesting things that will hopefully you'll find very interesting today. So a few housekeeping items. This session is recorded, so if you didn't attend it live today, it'll be in our Vivit SIG Talk IT operations landing page on the Vivit website here in the near future in a few days, along with any questions and answers to those questions. So you'll have a chance to dive into that at a later date, and it's available in our library. And if you're reaching us from abroad and you're not English speaking, you can click this little button on the left-hand side where you currently see the American flag and change it to your language or your flag, and you can ask questions in your own native tongue, and it'll show up in English for us here in the States. You know, one of the questions we've gotten from folks, some of our members that are in the Asia Pac area, mainly Australia, is these sessions at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time really don't work well for them at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I think the only way we can address that is if we've got speakers that are coming from Australia or Asia Pac that want to share their insight. We can have sessions probably more relevant to their time zone. So feel free to reach out to me if you've got a topic in the IT operations space that you think, sharing some best practices and tips and tricks or something that will help our members make their implementations more successful. Feel free to reach out. We do these things every month. And I think with that, I'm going to pass this on to Kovander Singh at Accenture to talk about what he's doing with IT operations in the OpsBridge space. Kovander?
Thanks, Rocky. Good morning, everyone. As Rocky briefly introduced myself, I am part of our ecosystem and ventures within Accenture as part of our alliance ecosystem, and I'm particularly responsible for our relationship with Micro Focus, managing globally the ITOM business. And today I'm going to share the one of our leading solution called Intelligent Operations that we have built end-to-end with micro-focus tools, and where OpsBridge is one of our key products that really ties the whole solution together. So let's just deep dive into, and I'll be happy to take any questions that you may have during the session as well. Okay. So before I explain what the solution is all about and how mature it is in the market for both of our companies, Accenture and Micro Focus, let me just spend a few minutes talking about what are some of the fundamental aspects within Accenture that we felt that we have to create a solution like that. And I think one of the driving factor behind this solution was how our technology is rapidly changing. And on this slide that you see that our whole technology environment is slowly moving towards, or probably have already transformed towards, as a service. We all live in a world of hybrid. A lot of our clients are in different stages of adopting or transforming towards a hybrid environment. But what are some of the challenges that really puts us in terms of managing or efficiently managing a kind of a hybrid environment? So one I would definitely think on top of my mind is complexity. As you can typically imagine that in a hybrid environment, you can expect our IT to be operating under multiple different tools, working with multiple different service providers. Every service provider bring their own processes, bring their own tools. Lack of standardization or consolidation. So how do you tie all of that together to effectively manage the whole IT operations? I think that's one of the problems that most of our clients are still struggling to resolve. They are currently operating into siloed environments where every service provider bring their own tools, bring their own processes, so basically a small IT shop exists in the overall IT environment, and what that all results into, like unexpected outages, no control on your environment, no control on your cost. So everything that puts enormous pressure on the way that your IT should be behaving and what your business outcomes are. So that's, I would say, definitely one of the key challenge or pain point is. Then the second thing is that with this whole as a service is also shaping up my consumer demands. This whole phenomena about consumerization, which means that the expectation both from our internal and external clients are very rapidly increasing. They expect full flexibility. They expect full control in terms of what they would like to consume, how would they like to consume, and how rapidly would they like to consume. So our speed of delivery from our IT perspective needs to be very, very aggressive to make sure we are able to adapt and fulfill those demands both from our internal users as well as from our external clients. So that's how our IT operation needs to be very, very resilient. It has to be very, very aggressive in terms of meeting those demands. And then there are definitely other factors like moving from a capital-based kind of running and managing your IT rather than being a more managed service provider in which you provide and let your users consume IT services more on an OpEx model. So they have full flexibility in terms of the services that they're consuming, and they are able to pay a specific price point rather than paying something upfront. So the whole role of IT is completely, I would say, evolving as part of the hybrid environment and as a service. So these are some of the core concepts that we have, some of the fundamentals that we have taken into account, as we started to build an offering or a very relevant solution, which we call it as Intelligent Operations with Micro Focus. Some of the core capabilities which we definitely wanted to deliver as part of this solution was, the machine learning and analytics, because I believe the core aspect of managing your environment, which mainly comes from your service assurance, like monitoring, is being taken as granted by a lot of our clients. When we get into any of our client environment and manage their environment, I think monitoring is the most fundamental basic concept. But the value add where we see is coming from where we can definitely add value is definitely analytics. So how can you make your IT more proactive in terms of be more predictable implement those behaviors in your IT environment so that we are able to take corrective action or respond to the issues before they even occur. So, and then inculcate activities of related to automation, where a lot of activities in your IT operations are operating in a self-driven mode, removing the dependency on a manual labor. So, how can we adopt to newer concepts of artificial intelligence, where your users are more reacting and more comfortable with your IT being performing a standalone role, operating in a more self-driven kind of an environment. So these are some of the use cases that we felt are more relevant, and that we need to add just to make sure our users are getting best quality service. Their requirements are being added in a more timely manner, and we are always ahead of ourselves in making sure that our IT is performing as it's required to be. So we took all of these concepts in mind, and as I mentioned, that we created a platform and a managed service kind-based solution, which we are calling as intelligent operations. Basically, it's a multi-tenant platform model, which is hosted in Accenture's environment. It's pre-integrated, it's pre-architected, completely been made up of on micro-focus tools. It provides core capabilities like monitoring, automation, and analytics, and then it resolves all those pain points that I mentioned and started my presentation with. It's fully as a service. So this whole platform we currently offer to all of our clients with micro-focus tools completely as a service. So there's no CAPEX which is being required. They can consume any service out of this platform, which means that if we have to monitor any specific service, could be application monitoring, server monitoring, network monitoring, it could be specific runbook automation, it could be event management. So any service can be consumed out of this platform on a pay-as-you-go kind of a model. Our clients have full flexibility in terms of scaling up and down, and that's how the licensing and commercial model is being driven. Okay. So this is what the platform looks like, just to give you an idea of some of the core capabilities into this platform. On the left-hand side in the blue boxes, you will see some of the core capabilities which we offer through this platform. So right at the heart of the platform is the availability and performance monitoring, which we believe is the service assurance. So that's what our clients expect any managed service provider to ensure that their infrastructure is always up, it's always performing, it's completely reliable. So so that's the most foundational stack. In this platform, we have the complete capability to monitor and manage the end-to-end infrastructure stack, cross network, server, application, and also if there are any third-party events or third-party tools which our clients already using, which most commonly is a scenario these days, because we find most of our clients are already have adopted tools, other third non-micro-focus tools, but they would like those tools to be included in the architecture for a standardized way of managing it. So making sure that we do realize and incorporate those alerts or those incidents coming from those third-party tools as well. So that's the availability and performance layer. And then once we have all of these alerts coming from different sources, then how do we aggregate all of those together, bring into one single manager of manager, which I think is a very, very important function before you initiate the service management process, because only at this layer, which is powered by OpsBridge in this architecture, we can ensure that your service management process is completely simplified. We are not flooding the service management into thousands of tickets, which may be duplicate tickets. that may have common cause or symptoms. So we are not even correlating those tickets. So instead of flooding the service management process into all of these events which are coming, from common sources, we feel that this layer provided by OpsBridge as a standard event management is very, very relevant. Not only we are able to aggregate alerts from different sources, but as I said, we are able to correlate events as well, which gives us the ability to make sure that our service management resources are only working on the most relevant and not the duplicate tickets. So that's one of the fundamental aspects. And then once you have the event management in place, you're able to apply analytics on top of it, because a lot of the data is getting consolidated at OpsBridge from different sources. You're able to apply analytics on top of it. You can also relate your automation use cases like runbook automation, like if you have to automate any routine service requests or repeat issues which keep occurring in your environment. So orchestrate and apply the closed loop incident management process around those tickets so that automated fixes can be applied. So those kind of automation use cases. So from that standpoint, that as I've said, OpsBridge is truly at the heart of this architecture. That's what I meant, that it collects the data from different sources, and then we are able to apply different use cases on top of it to enhance the overall role of the IT and making the value very, very relevant for our clients. The front end, also the reporting, which is the front end of this architecture, where any of our users, in whether in our client side or internally or externally, they interact with this platform is provided by the reporting, which could be your business value dashboards. It could be your reporting provided by OpsBridge like OBR, and that is also automated reporting, which is directly related to the OMI console as part of the OpsBridge. So from that standpoint, OpsBridge is completely controlling and managing the overall environment, not only just as being an aggregator or an event collector, but also generating the real-time dashboards and reporting as well through OBR and Vivit. So just to give you a brief idea that what as I was kind of referring to, that that's how we see the role of OpsBridge in our architecture is collecting incidents and events from different sources. So not only from the micro focus tools like could be network NNMI or server like SiteScope, but I think one of the other important aspect and that we have seen for OpsBridge, as I was mentioning earlier, that a lot of our clients have been they do operate into non-micro focus tools. And we've always seen tools like SolarWinds, COM existing in their environment, as we would definitely wish to replace those tools with Micro Focus, but it's a reality that clients have already made existing investments, and they would like to, as an MS managed service provider, they would like us to pull and aggregate alerts from those third-party events also. So the maturity of an event aggregator to be able to pull alerts from those third-party events is highly mature that we felt as part of an OpsBridge. I think there are so many out-of-box the connectors which has already been developed and already in place that comes readily available with OpsBridge as a tool. So I think that capability is highly mature. We haven't really come across any tool in the market which is not able to integrate with OpsBridge, and we lack that capability of not pulling the data from those tools. So I think that is really, really mature in this concept. Yeah. And then once we have all of the data being included, the analytics is where we've seen the most value that our clients see, because not only that we are able to, by applying the analytic use cases, I think one of the most common use cases that you have a major P1, let's say, which has occurred in your environment. So when we took the required action for P1, fixed it, restored the service, so that's all fine. But I think a lot of times client has the question is that is there a possibility or probability of the same incident occurring in the future as well? I think that that capability comes to us through the analytic use cases OBA as part of the whole OpsBridge solution, and that works really well because we are not only making sure that your IT is responding to the issues in the current state, but it is being more predictable, and it is also generating behavior patterns for how your IT is going to respond in the future state as well. So we are able to give that give the futuristic direction to our clients by understanding a lot of log data, incident data that we are able to collect in our environment. So that's one of the most common use cases. The other use cases is definitely we've seen is that at an OpsBridge layer, we have this, that we are able to generate CI mapping and relationship mapping because there is, all the alerts gets generated and consolidated into one layer. So we are able to generate the CI mapping and relationship mapping between, right at the middleware database and a different layer for an incident, due to which our level one processes like, isolating where the root cause lies. So our level one processes within our service desk even becomes more efficient and effective. You're able to isolate issues more quickly and assign tickets to your level two teams more quickly to resolve the issue. So I think that's even the most efficient process as part of the whole solution. So this is one case that I wanted to highlight for our European client, and also I would before I talk about this particular client, this whole platform that we have built and hosted in an Accenture environment with Micro Focus, we have about like 100 plus clients who are currently running onto this platform. So you can imagine that it's quite a volume of work that we are doing. Our own corporate IT, which we internally call as CIO. We recently transformed the whole network infrastructure of Accenture's own corporate IT with Micro Focus tools and with OpsBridge. And these are some of the most powerful, I would say, examples that we have. That not only that we have deployed these tools internally and currently being managing our own environment with OpsBridge, but as I said, there are about like 100 clients who are running onto this platform, and OpsBridge is able to maintain the event management function and the reporting and the whole analytics that we deploy as part of that capability, which is definitely more powerful. And if any further details anyone would require on how those implementations look like, whether it's our own IT, our own corporate IT, or any specific client, I'll be happy to get into a more follow-on discussion as well. So just coming back to this particular one that I've highlighted on this on the slide. So I think as we deploy the tools, our clients immediately expect the value add that they would like to see because of the investment that they've made and because of the newer tools that they've adopted. And the immediate value that we can show is with the OpsBridge event management and correlation function, because what our experience has been that when we deployed OpsBridge and apply the, let's say, topology-based event correlation, there is immediately on the day second or day third, you can see 30 to 40% incident reduction, because now earlier, if you were getting like so many duplicate tickets, but now you're able to cut down those tickets by 30 to 40% because you're able to apply a very powerful and meaningful correlation on them, and then handle those tickets appropriately into your service management process. So that's what this graph shows, that how your tickets eventually starts to come down, and your clients will be able to see the significant reduction in your tickets as you apply these tools and as you apply these event correlation functions that comes as part of the OpsBridge capability. And I think that's really very powerful because the monitoring or the whole other capabilities will be able to provide value over a period of time. But these are some of the metrics that you can immediately demonstrate value, I would say, within the week one of your go live, which most of our clients have seen tremendous value and they felt really happy and positive about it. So I thought of highlighting it. And these are just related to this. These are some of the use cases that we have applied in different scenarios. Like when your server is going down and your multiple processes are not working, you have alerts coming from your apps, your database, your middleware. There are different, for a single ticket, you have different incidents, raising multiple incidents. But I think your management within your IT from an operations perspective, it just comes very handy and very efficient by just through the OpsBridge OMI console, because you're able to see where are all these alerts coming from, what is the relationship mapping between those alerts, and then identify and isolate issues, and then manage your service management processes. So there are different use cases that I've highlighted here, which are very common use cases that you will see in your day-to-day IT operations. Your multiple server which is unexpected has shut down, and again, it could be a server problem. It could be any particular problem in your in the underlying area as well. And all of these cases you will see will normally typically trigger at least 4 to 5 different tickets coming from different sources. And I'm sure that your experience would have been like in current scenarios, you will see an app team working on their tickets independently. You will have middleware team working independently. You have database team working independently, and there's no connection point between them. But what exactly all of this is resulting into is that your time to resolve a particular ticket or time to fix a particular problem is becoming much more longer. So I think that's what we are trying to commit to our clients, that we are able to commit to their SLAs, time to restore their service as quickly as possible, and we are able to deliver to all of those aggressive metrics just because of these efficient way of managing their operation through OpsBridge. And let me just close my slide with some of the quick benefits. I would say these are very, very strong metrics that we've collected, as I've said, that through 100+ clients that we have done those that work, and these clients that we onboard onto this platform is rapidly growing. This solution is turning out to be immensely favorable for Accenture as we continue to sell this solution to the market as part of our managed service portfolio. So being as an MSP, I think one of the fundamental metrics that we sign to our clients is the uptime that we assure. So it's 99.99%, and we are able to assure that we are able to deliver on that commitment is because of these underlying tools and softwares like OpsBridge, which allow us and gives us that capability to deliver those. We are able to make our root cause analysis process 20 to 25% more efficient. Just highlighting some of the correlation capabilities that I mentioned earlier. We are able to cut down costs by 15 to 30% because we are able to apply analytics capabilities like automation, where we might have been spending too much of manual effort of doing those tasks, and now we are able to automate that through the OpsBridge solution. So that's definitely one. So these are some of the core I would say benefits, and these are all very real and tangible benefits as we have harvested through our experience of implementing these tools across those clients, I would say. So that's pretty much it from my side. Happy to take up any questions, or if there are any follow-on, please do feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to get into any follow-on discussion as well.
Thanks, Kavinder. One question that I have is, what is the issue with customers trying to do what you guys are doing as an MSP? What is the issue for them trying to do it in their own on-premise environment?
Sure. So I mean, one definitely I would say is this architecture can definitely be deployed as an on-prem as well. So we, in fact, being at an Accenture, we have some large clients in which we have deployed the same architecture as on-prem also. But I think some of the clients, one is definitely, I would say, the client lack that kind of knowledge and skills in terms of how to build a integrated architecture together, because of course I think all of these tools coming together in form of an architecture and then applying specific use cases on top of it definitely require a subject matter expertise, not only the knowledge of the tools, but also the knowledge of your business environment, knowledge of your, like your business outcomes and everything. So I think from that standpoint, it definitely can be deployed as an on-prem, but I mean, like you would need a relevant expertise to make sure that you're able to, deploy it successfully, I would say.
Great. Well, thanks for volunteering your time to share this presentation with us. For everyone that's on the call, this session is being recorded, so you'll be getting a copy of Covander's presentation as well. If you have any questions, you can put them in the Q&A box below the presentation, and we'll try to get to them either today or we'll send them to Covander to answer them at a later date and provide it as part of the recorded session. So thank you very much, Covander. I know you've got to run to your next call, and great job. Thank you. So with that, let's go to Bill Curran at Intech and kind of talk about the solution area that they've been working on to help customers and go from there. So one thing I just want to say that there are a number of partners on this call today, and what we're trying to do in the SIG Talk space is bring those practitioner stories of success or concerns or issues. I call it the good, the bad, the ugly, so that we can share that with all our members. So as you as partners are talking to customers or potential customers that are looking for more networking, more exposure to grow their careers, bring them to us to kind of share their story, or even if it's a combined success story that you're helping them implement, it'd be great to make that happen. And that's the whole goal for SIG Talks, is to bring these kind of conversations in a real-world environment from real-world practitioners. So with that, Bill, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Great. Rocky, thanks for that, and thanks for the opportunity to do this. Thanks, everyone, for hanging in there. For the remainder of the time here, I would like to talk about service asset and configuration management, and talk about some of my experiences and lessons learned in helping make it a successful and sustainable experience for the people in the company. Just a quick intro about me. I'm 25 years plus in IT, over 15 years experience with ITSM, and that's with a variety of platforms, not only the Micro Focus and HP, but I've worked in past experience with IBM and ServiceNow. So I've got a lot of experience with some of the different platforms out there. And one of the things I want to talk about this morning, at my most recent stop, I led an ITSM initiative with the HP and Micro Focus platforms at Citizens Bank. And specifically, that was with the UCMDB, Service Manager, and Asset Manager platforms. And, we'll talk about some of the lessons that we learned at Citizens that we helped make it a success there and help to sustain it. So just a couple things to start off here. When I talk to some peers and go in and talk to customers about configuration management, I always say configuration management is a lot more difficult than you realize. And the statistics really bear this out. 80% of CMS and CMDB projects, on average, fail to meet expectations. And I think there's a few factors for that. I think one big thing is companies that go into a project with the idea of creating this monolithic CMDB and putting all the data they can think of, all the CIs and attributes into a CMDB. I think that phrase, a single source of truth, could actually be a bumper sticker for what not to do with a SACM implementation. And indeed, I think we've seen over the last few years, the industry's kind of moved away from talking about one big CMDB and to more of a federated CMS structure. I think another factor is in data quality. If you don't have some rigor around looking at the quality of your data and whether it's giving your users what they need, if it's complete and accurate, you're going to run into problems, and your implementation is going to face a lot of headwinds. And I think a third factor has to do with the value to the company. I think going into a configuration management implementation in ITSM, that you're doing it just to do ITIL, and you're not thinking about what the business is going to get out of it, I think can create some problems in terms of the traction that you're going to get in the company and the value the business is going to see in the implementation. So I think making sure that you have some sort of business value, business outcome to the configuration management is an important part to your success. So I want to back up there. I want to do a polling question here, and Rocky, I'm going to turn it over to you. But we're just going to get a little. You there, Rocky?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
So Anne Marie's going to send out a notice to everyone with a polling question. So it should be popping up here real soon, and it's really what best describes your assessment of the use of CMS and CMDB at your company. So take a minute to click the most relevant answer on this survey, and then we'll share that with the team here in a second. So let's see what we're getting here. So yeah, people are responding, and I'm not sure if you can see it, Bill, but I've got, here's what we have so far. The most popular one is have one,
sure,
but don't trust it, or it's not being used. So that's about a strong percentage. The next one, have one and it works well. That's, another probably 40% of the people on the call. Some people just don't have it. And, a few of the folks don't plan on having one. So probably the strongest response has been have one but don't trust it, or it's not being used effectively. And then the second largest answer is have one and it works well. So we'll close it at that.
Well, that's cool. I'm pretty impressed. I would expect the folks that have it and it works well, they're on to other things. But the fact that people have it and it's not working well, or they're looking for some added benefits to it. I think there's some interest in what we're talking about here, because like I said, I think configuration management and SACM is a hard thing to pull off. So. Thanks, everybody, for voting. I think we'll just move on here. There we go. All right. So before we touch on a few of the key aspects to help with your success, I just want to talk briefly about the importance of service asset and configuration management. SACM to me is the core of IT service management. If you think about it, the information that you get from incident and problem and change management, it's dependent upon having good and accurate information in configuration management. If that core isn't solid, if you're not managing that well, those processes are going to be less valuable or not working well for your enterprise. So that just makes configuration management a vitally important thing to pay attention to. Another thing is if users can't trust the information that's in your CMS, it's not going to be successful. If people are deriving reports or they're consuming it from one of the other processes, again, if they're getting bad information, if they're going to get it and it's not there or it takes too long, it's going to make your CMS less successful, and people are going to walk away from it. So, vitally important to pay attention to your configuration management. But another thing is that from a difficulty perspective, there's some things that are headwinds for SACM as well. And I think one thing is that configuration management itself usually isn't a discrete end goal. The CMS is usually an enabling technology that helps these other processes. And a lot of companies, when they get into this, they want to get some of the benefits about deriving from improving mean time to repair, or better change management planning, or there's other discrete end goals than, say, just putting in a CMDB. So I think that makes it a little bit doing configuration management a little bit nebulous to some folks as a means to an end. I think another thing that I talk about frequently is the focus on the technology at the expense of sort of sustaining operations. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times when you get into the technology implementations, the vendors focus a lot on the implementation of the technology, and once it's up and running, there's not a lot of focus on what happens after that and how you sustain it and really make it valuable to the business. So I think a little more promotion on the daily and the weekly operations and usage is something that's important to think about, and that technology focus can make it a little bit difficult to pull off. And I think one more thing is what I would refer to as the CMDB perception problem. Over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of talk in the IT press about whether CMDBs are relevant anymore. Are they dinosaurs? Things like virtualization, containers, and microservices, they make it hard for discovery and CMSs to do all that they need to do. And so that provides a little bit of a head scratcher, as like, can we really do this? And I think, as you'll see when we get into some of the other slides, I think there's still a lot of value that a CMDB and a CMS brings to a company, but you certainly have to think about as these new architectures emerge and these more ephemeral objects appear that we need to manage, how you're going to incorporate that into the CMS strategy. So, what are some of the keys that I would point to that helped us at Citizens? So, I alluded to it earlier. I think key number one is shifting the focus from that implementation to more of an ongoing operations and sustaining operation. Moving from a focus where you're thinking about, well, what can we go and discover and collect, to what business problems can we help solve for the company? What questions can we help answer? At Citizens, when we identified some specific business problems, like DR environments that were out of sync, knowing the currency of critical applications, prioritizing patching activities, these are things that a CMS are well suited to help answer. And when we started sharing some of that information with business units and indeed some of the executives, we got a lot of kudos and attention, and really helped us gain confidence in what we were doing and the service asset and configuration management practice. I think another thing that helps with your maturity is instilling a culture of accountability. Putting in a governance structure so that you have representation from process owners, from CI owners, from people that own some of the data sources that you want to draw, you want to integrate with or import information from. At both banks that I worked at, I had a large role in configuration management, and it wasn't until we got some governance and instilled some accountability around looking at some of the information and actually having people have it part of their job description to have to respond to errors that we found or missing data, but just to help us keep it accurate and up to date, but making sure that there was accountability. It was a very important part to the success and overall long-term success of the SACM practice at Citizens. I think the second key that I point to in bringing some value here is the use of service models. You know, I mentioned previously how config was foundational for other processes, but importantly, a lot of that pertains to application impact, and you can't have that without modeling the application. Prime drivers for implementing and operating a CMDB are engaging the impact of what you're doing. If you think about from an incident management perspective, being able to, you know, when a ticket is spit out, understanding the application or service that is that's affected by that incident. From a change perspective, being able to plan a change around your critical applications and its maintenance windows, or when you're touching a CI, whether it's, you know, it could possibly affect something that you that could have an impact. That's critical information that most people want to get out of a CMS. From a compliance and regulation standpoint, you know, a lot of shops, it's mandatory to be able to have an application topology to provide auditors or regulators a list of all the elements that make up the application. And then, you know, also at Citizens, from a cost optimization standpoint, when we were able to develop an application portfolio of applications that have been modeled, it was a valuable source of information for application architects, for business owners to understand what makes up their applications and make some decisions about whether to upgrade and how much to upgrade those applications. So, you know, there's really a lot of value in service models. So, you know, I think that's an important key to you know, an overall success for service asset and configuration management. Also, though, from a value and cost perspective, I think people ought to also think about how much you do model from a service model perspective. I'm of the opinion that you don't need to model everything that you have, especially if you have a large application portfolio. Certainly critical and major applications, it's a good practice to model them, but you may have applications like a cafeteria menu or a company announcement application that if it goes down, it's not that big a deal, but it may cost you more to model it and then sustain that modeling over time. So looking at the portfolio and making some decisions about the value and the cost of that, I think is a worthwhile endeavor, because it does take some time and resources to both model and sustain those service models in perpetuity. So the third thing that I'd like you to take away from my experience has to do with data integrity and governance. I talked a couple slides ago about governance in general, but here I want to specifically drive home the point about data governance, because again at Citizens, until we installed some rigor around the attention to what was in the data and had ownership of the data, had some meetings, had monthly meetings around looking at the data, responding to what we were seeing. Importantly, creating some KPIs that that spoke to the quality of the data. This is CMDB Audit 101, where you're creating an audit function, and for both internal reasons but also external reasons, being able to promote to your users the quality of the data. It's a really important part to their embracing of the data, and defending any questions that the users may have about the data. Putting in KPIs for completeness, so CI, testing CIs that all required fields are populated. For correctness, so that you're testing, for integrity rules, whether there are CIs that have been updated in a while. Just, having some rigor around what's in your CMDB, how it's being managed, and then importantly, again, instilling some accountability so that there is a group of people or persons that are there to respond and correct that data, so that you can promote the quality of your data and use it in so many different places. I mean, if you think about the importance of data quality for your incident and problem and change and other processes, for your change impact analysis, SLA reporting, the whole 9 yards. Data quality is so important to the mission of configuration management. And I will tell you that if you do not have some rigor around data governance, it's very hard to be successful with it. So, wrapping it up here, again, I think there's a few keys for long-term success that I'd like you to take away from this presentation, and one being that focus on maturity. Focus on your processes, your governance, and accountability. Point number 2, I think exploiting those service models, so important to the value to the business, and so many other functions that you have in IT service management broadly. And then employing that data governance to ensure the confidence and the correctness of the data is huge. Like I said at the outset here, configuration management is really difficult, and I think by not overreaching and maintaining integrity and focusing on business problems, it's going to help keep you anchored and help your success over the long term. Of course, there's a lot more that goes into being successful, and I've talked about a few things right here, but for anyone out there that wants to further the discussion, has some follow-up they want to do, well, I just posted. I think it'll be available. There we go. It's in the presentation there. My contact information. I'd be happy to talk further about my experiences and particular things about SACM or ITSM in general. So please reach out to me if that makes sense. And I'll open up to any Q&A that may be out there.
So, Curran, with Intech Technologies, thank you for sharing your insights in the CMDB space and ITSM. The key thing that I got out of this thing is how to maintain this thing and how to create sustainability. People start these projects and it gets so convoluted that you don't know if there's value in putting it together, like you mentioned back in the start with following ITSM or ITIL processes for the sake of ITIL processes versus the business. So I think you brought up some great points, and I don't know if we have any questions right now, but again, I want to thank you for volunteering your time and for your team for being on the call to help support Vivit SIG Talks to our community. And these are areas that, going forward, they're critical, and all the integrations that you're talking about that have to happen to make this thing successful is key. So, again, if anybody has any questions, Bill left his contact information as well. It'll be on the slide deck when we send it to you in a few days. And with that, I think we're done with that part of it, and we'll move on. So thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Rocky.
Go back to my stuff here. Let's see. So back to Vivit. Again, thanks for everyone that attended today's session live, and the rest will see it in the on-demand area. But some key announcements from the Vivit community. We're run by a volunteer board of people like you that volunteer their time to support this organization, support the directions that we go in to support our members, which are customers, partners, and keeping Micro Focus personnel in the loop of what you want out of your solutions. And so it's very important that if you get a chance to vote for our board members, it's on our website as well. And we really need this to happen because these people put in some time. I mean, they're on calls every couple of weeks. They get together. They get to know you as a practitioner of these technologies and want to make sure that your voice is heard to Micro Focus, that what's relevant to you, to make sure that that message gets through. So we've got an outstanding group of people here that have taken the time to fill out the application to be selected to be part of the board going forward. So please, if I can iterate anything, if we're doing anything for you, we need you to vote for the people. Their profiles are on the website. You can go through them and see what they've done and their experience. But again, I can't say enough about voting for these people. Upcoming Vivit webinars. So we've got one on looks like GDPR, which is a hot topic. Looks like there's a discussion on April 25th coming up. So it's a webinar on that topic. Our next SIG talk in the IT operations space is going to be around SiteScope and OMI, two different presentations, some practitioner level conversations. It's coming to you May 17th, 2018. Again, it's 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we're planning for the next SIG Talk event, which is June 19th. So I'm looking for speakers that want to share their insight. We're looking for anywhere from 12 to 18 minutes of a topic or best practices or something you've done that's helped your company that you could share with us to help us all benefit from that. And again, just send that to rocky.pisto at vivit-worldwide.org, and we'll try to get you on the docket. If you have any questions, you can tweet them on our Twitter site, which is Vivit SIG Talks, at Vivit SIG Talks. So that's kind of neat. And with that, I think we've hit just about the top of the hour. I want to thank everyone who presented today and those that attended. And we'll talk to you next month.